one of the biological systems engineering students that had an opportunity to work with the TLTE students and go kind of do something that we as engineers really don't get an opportunity to do. Is a pretty neat experience. For me, I've had a little bit of a chance to work with kids. I've worked at a summer camp a couple summers with mentally challenged kids, and so when I saw this opportunity, I was pretty excited for it, and I really wanted to kind of make the most of it, and so I made it a point where I would go pretty much every chance I got to go help with the TLTE students, even before our culminating project as the engineers were, because we had to teach one of the final lessons and incorporate our engineering knowledge into what the TLTE students had done. So I was pretty excited to kind of go there and form a relationship with the kids and really just kind of try to inspire them and work towards getting them, interested in math and science and engineering and technology and all those fields that I don't think that they might not have as much exposure to it or interest in it, or so I kind of wanted to be kind of the role model, I guess, or the scientist is what they always called me, and so that was a pretty cool thing to be able to be with them and not have to be the teacher per se, and I don't have to be the guy that's telling them, sit down, be quiet, stay on task. I can kind of be, more of a friend and somebody that they look up to, and hopefully somebody that they would want to be at some point in their lives. And so I was pretty excited for that. And working with the TLT students was a great opportunity for me to learn how to. I don't have a whole lot of experience with the younger kids. We had second graders, and so they were a little, hard to focus. We chose kind of a difficult topic, electricity, and so it's hard for me to put into terms that a second grader would understand. And so having the TLT students there who, they might not have as much knowledge about electricity, but they know how to portray that knowledge to these kids was it was great to have them, so I could kind of tell them, well, this is what I think is, this is cool, this pertains to electricity. And then they'd say, okay, well then let's do that, or we should do that. And I think being there every week along with Jessica was a pretty beneficial thing for the kids, because they kind of got more comfortable with, the knowledge, and we knew what they had learned the week before, and we could build on everything and keep them, try to get towards that final goal of, taking home something about electricity. And so that was nice to be able to go there every week. As far as the working with the other TLT students, I think they all had solid lessons and plans that me and Jess we would be able to go back and look over the lesson plans and say, I don't think that they'll really understand this, or let's focus more on this instead of, some of the other issues. Other than that, when we finally did our engineering project, I was able to work with my fellow engineers and say, this is what they've learned, this is probably their attention span, this is what they are interested in, and I wanted to make it fun for them and experimental and a lot of different things that they can do with as far as electricity in the biomedical engineering field. And so just wanted to get them to realize that all this stuff they're learning, this is where it applies in the real world, and then maybe inspire them, say, oh well, I asked them at the end, what do you guys want to do when you grow up? And an overwhelming amount of them was interested in a science field, which I thought was pretty cool, because I never really I don't know that I was that interested in it when I was that young. And so I think probably the younger and more impressionable, you can kind of lay the groundwork down and say, this is cool stuff, you have all these great experiences. And then I think an interesting experience for me was probably the idea of, because I kind of been exposed to these kids, and they definitely listened to me. They definitely thought what I had to say was interesting, and I thought, just because I'm an engineer, that's all it is. But the idea of being kind of a male figure for them was, I never really thought about it. Growing up, I had male teachers, but I didn't come from probably the background that most of these kids did, and so it was something I definitely have taken home, like about trying to be a male, be a kind of that figure in their life that they may not have. That's kind of a cool experience to be able to have them, be so attentive to me and be interested in what I have to say, and I think that I'd carry that on throughout the rest of my life, is being able to put a good impression on these kids and help them out and do what I can to be that figure for them. If they don't have, or if they do, something that they can look up to. But other than that, it was a great experience. Recommend it for everybody. I told everybody that I was in my engineering classes they should have been more involved, because it really was a fun, cool thing for me to do, and I'm glad. And I look forward to doing something like that in the future.